Alright, it's been a couple of years since I created a walk around on this car, and I've done a couple of upgrades since completing the engine swap. So I figured I'd just go through a couple of the upgrades here in a new walk around video. First of all, as we look at the front here, we can probably see underneath of here the original intercooler scoop for the Turbo Regal hung very low on this car. So I fabbed up a new one out of some sheet metal that is a little bit wider but also a little bit shorter than the original, but the cross-sectional area across the front remains the same as what is in the Turbo Regal, so it theoretically draws in the same amount of airflow. Now also what we added to this car were the American Racing Torque Thrust 2s. I think that they fit a little bit more accurately to the theme of this vehicle, which is kind of a mid-60s muscle car and so forth. And in addition to that, I also added some spinners and had some Turbo 6 inlays made from an online company that does acrylics and does them for very inexpensive, and ironically is sourced out of Ukraine of all places. But they're very inexpensive if you don't mind waiting about a month to get them. I think they're only $15 for the set of 4, so it's definitely worth it. And this company, it's called 3dcarstickers.com. They also will create it to a pattern of your choice, so that was always good too. Oh, and in addition, you can also see the SSBC calipers for the disc brake kits that we added in the front. This disc brake kit uses rotors that slip over top of the existing drum hubs, so it's a little bit easier to work with than most of the kits out there, which give you a new rotor hub assembly. So as we continue on the outside here, we can take a peek through the rear wheels, and you can see that there are some aluminum drums on here. These particular ones came from an 87 Turbo Regal, and it's just a standard GM 9.5-inch drum, so the drum itself just slips over top of the stock rear drums that were on this car. So the stock backing plates and all the components that were underneath are basically what was on the car when it was delivered. So it just required a new adjustment based on the idea of the aluminum drums. So pretty easy swap, but just adds a little bit more Turbo Regal content to the car. Coming around to the passenger side here, just a small detail. We added a stainless steel exhaust tip. And as we look through the interior, there are a couple of items that we added here. The most notable is the new seat covers. These particular ones came from TMI, and the front bench also includes a new set of foam, so it kind of gives more of a bucket seat feel to the car, and they're much more comfortable than the stock bench seats. The drawback is that the foam is considerably thicker, so you sit a little bit higher in the driver position. Your head's a little bit closer to the ceiling as a result, and you sit a little bit further forward. So I had to buy extensions for the seat tracks to set those back at an additional 2 inches. Additionally, in here, the wood grain steering wheel that we had in here from Grant. It's still the one that we had two years ago, but the difference is we added a gray coating to it and a nice urethane top coat that's designed for butcher block and interior, like a kitchen island application or something like that. So it's very durable, and if we look closely enough, you can see that it's kind of distressed, so you can see kind of the wood coming through it, so it fits in with the outside theme of this car, being an original paint car and so forth. So it just looks like a little bit of extra wear on the steering wheel, and it kind of fits the theme quite well. Quite a bit of things are actually added under the hood, so let's see if we can highlight some of those items. Alright, the most obvious that comes to view as soon as we open the hood is the new booster and master cylinder combination. The old single bale system obviously wasn't going to cut it with this car, so this is a significant upgrade, and the braking performance is vastly superior to what it was when we first put it together. We also added some new valve covers. These particular ones come from TA Performance. They're pretty common on these Turbo Regals, but kind of gives it a little bit more sinister look under the hood. On top of that, we've added a new 3-inch downpipe. This one is, I bought it used off of a friend off of Craigslist, and I'm not sure of the manufacturer. The seller wasn't sure of the manufacturer, but as best I can tell is it's probably an older model GN1 piece with an external wastegate. Also, we added a new adjustable fuel pressure regulator, the AccuFab unit, and the fuel pressure gauge. And all these items were added in anticipation of the alcohol injection system that we'll be adding over the winter. So in addition to these items, I also have ready to go in some new fuel injectors, a hot wire kit for the fuel pump, a boost plate for underneath the oil pump, and then also a plate for underneath the intake manifold for better fuel distribution. So quite a few upgrades coming over the course of the winter as well. That should take it from, basically a stock feeling Grand National powertrain into something that's a little bit more expectant of what this vehicle should be from the looks of it. So my guess is it'll go from a 14 flat car to somewhere around a low 13 to 12 flat car, just with an upgrade of the boost pressure and the alcohol injection. So all that should be a very good thing. So as far as how the car runs and how it drives, it really hasn't changed too much from a couple of years ago, but it does appear a little bit differently, just because of the upgrades from the exterior and so forth. So I think overall most of the changes that we did to it didn't detract from what the vehicle originally was when it was built, which was intended to look like an unrestored car on the outside, and then just with a more modern powertrain on the inside, in addition to making sure that we keep the powertrain Buick. That was very important to me. I wanted to make sure that whatever we put in here as far as a new powertrain matched the manufacturer of the body itself. So if you have any comments, please feel free to drop them by on this video, and thanks for looking.